Hey everybody! Sorry I am a few minutes late. Had issues with the iPad, so I'm on my iPhone and I'm hoping that this will work. So, while we're waiting for people to tune in, I just wanted to take the opportunity to answer a question that I got right quickly on the Instagram. They were asking about how I became a massage therapist and where I studied and stuff. I have made a video about that. I think if you search my videos and ask about the massage therapy thing, it should pop up. But I went to the Costa Rica School of Massage Therapy. I went about 5 years ago and loved it. It was great. Hi! And if you can just bear with me for a second, I'm trying to figure out, because now I'm on my phone, so I'm not sure how I'm going to read the comments. Thank you. I think this is the first time I wore my hair in pigtails since I was a kid. Yes, I've been filming all of the B-roll for my exercises to do to do the posture improvement stuff, so it's been good. Awesome, I'm glad somebody's here doing their cardio. Some first-time watchers. Where are you from in North Carolina, Sarah? I grew up in Asheville is why I ask. And then I was in Raleigh for a little while too. Okay. Oh, thank you, Noah. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna try to get on these comments from another device. Oh, Raleigh, cool. I lived in Raleigh for like a year with my sister. We were over, how do I describe this now? Anyway, I don't even remember how to describe the place anymore. Let me see if I can pick up this video so I can, find the comments. Okay. Video on Candida and parasites and how to get rid of them. Very possibly. Well, happy birthday. Sorry, just one more second. Okay. I'm gonna trade out the iPad. Oh! For some reason, I brought up the live feed, and I was all ready to go, and I pressed go live, and it was like, oh, you might have a slow connection, are you sure you want to go live? And then it just froze. So I restarted the iPad, and it didn't work, so I was like, alright, well. Okay. Louisa, let's start with your question about the polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yes, I do know a bit about polycystic ovaries because I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was 19 or 20. That was kind of ended up being the catalyst that pushed me into the Candida cleanse and everything, because I was working with a naturopath, and it was a naturopath that got me diagnosed with the PCOS, and I did that through blood tests, just explaining about symptoms, and as well as they did an ultrasound. So I was diagnosed, and then she started doing a lot of, she told me, you know, oh, you have to eat like a high-fat, high-protein diet and keep the carbs really low so that you can control this insulin. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. As nature intended, I'm glad you're here with me too. So I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I did it. And I ended up doing like a Candida cleanse at her suggestion as well to try to get my insulin levels under control, because I had really bad hypoglycemia as well. Like, it was just a roller coaster ride every day. So the diet that they suggest for polycystic ovaries is similar to a diet that they would do for like type 2 diabetes, to try to get insulin under control by drastically lowering the amount of carbohydrates and sugar that you're eating. So that's what I tried to do, and it wrecked me even more. So I was gaining more weight and I felt terrible. What I ended up doing was, as you've heard from the story, I made a drastic switch over to like a high fruit diet. Is initially how I started the veganism thing, was high fruit raw food, and I've got a rebound really quickly off of that. So switching to more whole foods, more carbohydrate-based foods, I feel like is a great idea. Just to try to get the insulin under control, because let's remember, like, the same things that are going to work for type 2 diabetes are going to work for polycystic ovaries as well. That said, I was pretty lucky in that a lot of my symptoms resolved just from dietary changes alone. There are other things that can be really helpful if your symptoms are a bit more stubborn. A lot of herbs can have a big effect on hormones and how your body is able to balance itself. Herbs like fennel seed and chaste berry and a bunch of others. I feel like we've talked about this briefly before, but I'm not an herbalist. I'm not an expert on taking herbs. And even though they're better than pharmaceuticals, you know, they're less dangerous, there can still be some unintended side effects that can happen from taking herbals. Like, I know I was taking chaste berry for a while, and you're supposed to take it for a while and then come off of it and give your body a rest time to get back to normal, and I didn't take that time off, and I ended up getting, like, some pelvic pain and discomfort that cleared up once I stopped the chaste berry. So, like, you just have to be smart about how you take herbals. So consult someone who knows what they're doing with herbs. Acupuncture was really helpful for me as well with the polycystic ovarian stuff, just to get my system back into balance. It took a while. Hi, country something from Asheville, North Carolina. Hi, say hi to the mountains for me. And it's really important with any endocrine issue to rest a lot and to be consistent with the way that you're eating. So, like, don't let yourself get super duper hungry and then eat, you know, or eat a bunch of food that's not great. So as much, like, consistency as you can give your body, consistency in food and in rest and in hydration and in mental attitude is important. But all of that said, hormonal issues are very complex, and I think a lot of times we don't take into account things like the endocrine disruptive chemicals that we were exposed to in the womb. Like, I think that that's a big problem, a big reason why I've had all the hormonal issues that I've had, is because I was born at a time when we were just bathed in plastic, and, like, you can't get away from that. And so being nice to your body and being understanding that, hey, maybe there's only so much I'm going to be able to change, and I'm going to be patient with my body and give it some time to heal and not beat myself up and not get frantic, because being frantic is not good for stress, and so it's not good for your insulin levels either. It can be a tough nut to crack, but it's one of those things that, like, consistency, patience, good diet can be really effective. Okay. There was a question I really want to answer. Yes, Jacqueline, I've seen many of your questions about, like, how much to eat on whole plant foods. You say how much to eat. What if I have a big appetite? Yes. The big appetite girls unite. I have a massive appetite as well. People always make fun of me. They say that I have a third leg, or that, like, you know, my stomach must be broken. Possibly. I can fit in a lot of food, and that was especially true in, like, my binging days, right? So how much is kind of a tricky, it's like a tricky line to toe, because you need to eat enough for your body to feel energetic and for you to feel satisfied when you have your meals, because I don't want anyone sitting around fantasizing about ice cream. But there is, you know, the possibility that my stomach might be a little bit larger than it needs to be. It could be a little stretched out, or maybe I've just been doing, like, the crazy yo-yo dieting thing for a while, and my appetite just doesn't know up from down. It doesn't know how much to ask me to eat. So you can count calories if you want to. But I don't like to do that, and I don't like to advise people to do that. So when you're determining how much you should be eating, if you have a big appetite, then your body is asking for something. Either it's asking for nourishment in the form of calories, or it's asking for nourishment in the form of micronutrients. So there could be a gap or something that your body isn't getting that it needs. So to make sure that you do, you know, the wisely planned vegan diet that we've talked about before, making sure that you're getting tons of greens, making sure that you're getting tons of vegetables, and like filling yourself up with those less calorie dense but very nutrient dense foods that will bulk out your stomach without, you know, being like as calorie dense as oils. So in that way, you can kind of like bulk out what you're eating if you're worried about weight gain and stuff. But otherwise, I would say be mindful. Be present with yourself and your body as you're eating. And if you have a big appetite, you might have that for a reason, and I think it's wise to honor that. Like I had a huge appetite when I first started eating vegan, and then over the years, I've been kind of surprised as my appetite has gotten lower and lower. But I think that if I had gone through this transition and been eating the amount of food that I'm eating right now, I would have been starved, I would have been fantasizing about ice cream, and it would have derailed my progress. I think that I needed that time of allowing myself to eat as much as I wanted. So, Jacqueline, I know I've seen many of your questions about like portion sizes and how much I'm actually eating, and in the What I Eat in a Day videos, those portion sizes are what I eat. Like, I eat as much as is on my plate, generally speaking. It's quite rare that I leave something off. If you're worried about portion sizes, if you feel like you would prefer to be eating less, like if your digestive system is feeling kind of overwhelmed and overburdened, just try serving yourself a smaller amount of food, but being clear that if I eat this, and then I say, wait 5 or 10 minutes, and then I really check in with my body and say, am I still hungry? Then allow yourself to eat more. I hope that helps. Yeah, Olivia asks a question, and I had a question on Instagram. Someone wanted me to talk about some relationship stuff, and Olivia asks, can you talk about long-term relationships and when or how you should end one if you still care about the person? Yeah, I think that's one of the toughest lessons I've ever had to learn, which is, you know, when to end a relationship. When has a relationship met its natural lifespan? And how to end it. I gotta say, I've never been good at it. Like, my first boyfriend I just stayed with until we hated each other so much that it exploded and police were involved. That definitely wasn't a good idea. But if you're feeling like you want to end a relationship, I feel like communication and honesty is really key. Express to the person how much you care about them. But express to them that, you know, you feel like you're going in different directions, or you just want something different for your life. And if they take that well, then great. You guys can part for a little while. Maybe you can remain friends. Maybe at one point in the future, like, you'll want to try to have a relationship again together. But it's really hard when you're young. When you meet someone that you're really compatible with when you're 18 or something, it's like you're just too young. It got really quiet. I'm sorry, it's the iPhone. I hope that's a little better. I can try to sit closer. If you try to end it and they don't listen to you, or if they protest or whatever, then you do know that ending the relationship is probably the best thing you could have done. Or if they throw a hissy fit. My favorite strategy for ending a relationship is to sell all my shit and move. It's worked for me every time. I've had that done to me as well. It's not nice, but it works. What if you have a dog together? Okay, if there are animals involved, like you're gonna have to work out custody. Who gets the dog? Who do you have visitation of the dog? I mean, I have to say, like, I love Levi to death. We've had some tough times together, and there have been moments where I'm like, I'm taking the dogs and I'm leaving. But then I think about my starfruit tree, and it's like, that starfruit tree has saved our relationship so many times. So many times. Like, I'm in the Prius. The Prius is in reverse. And I see that starfruit tree, and I'm like, oh, fuck. We're gonna work it out. Let's go to therapy again, right? Yeah. Someone asked about hair loss on a vegan diet. The most common causes of hair loss, as far as I'm aware, are iron deficiency, stress, and hormonal issues. So a lot of those can be worked out on a vegan diet. As far as iron goes, like, you just need to be, watch the Wisely Planned Vegan Diet video, and that'll help you out as far as optimizing absorption of iron. If you're, like, confirmed anemic, can't get your levels back up, you can consider supplementing, but only supplement until you're back to normal. Like, don't keep taking an iron supplement, okay? Stress is obviously, that has to be managed. And I love how everyone's like, manage your stress. And I'm always the one sitting there and I'm like, how do I do that? Oh my god, I can't stop sweating. Right? That's me. And then I start getting really stressed out about the fact that I'm stressing. And the hormonal stuff. Vegan diets definitely help in balancing out hormonal issues. Getting rid of the exogenous hormone exposure is important, and trying to avoid those endocrine or hormonally disruptive chemicals, a lot of which are like found in plastics and stuff, is important. Okay. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. The potato cleanse. The potato cleanse. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the potato cleanse. Hold on. Hey! Oh, that vegan couple is here. It's Natasha and Luca. Hi, thank you so much. I'm coming back to the potato cleanse. I didn't forget. Okay, but someone just asked me to talk about AMLA, and someone asked, what is AMLA? So AMLA is Indian gooseberry powder. Well, I guess maybe it could be the whole gooseberries in India, but here you usually get the Indian gooseberry in powdered form. It's called AMLA. I just got myself a bag because Dr. Greger talks about it and how not to die. It's very high in antioxidants. It's like a little bit tart. It's pretty enjoyable. I don't know too much about it other than that. So that's something to learn about a little bit more. And then we were going to talk about the potato cleanse. And that vegan couple is here. I'm having a fan moment. You guys, like, since you're here, Natasha and Luca, I was having a fantasy the other day. And I was like, I'm going to build a house on our land in Kalmana. And I'm making a room where we can, like, just film YouTube videos and stuff and hang out. And I want you guys to come stay with me for a while. Please. I want to do that. And then I just saw that someone mentioned that it looks like AMLA is more of a trend than anything. I would probably tend to agree with you. I'm not big on, like, the powdered superfood stuff. But I was like, I'll give it a try. It's pretty tasty. I like adding it to my smoothies. But yeah. Okay. I will definitely cook for you guys. I will cook for you if you come stay with me. Okay, potato cleanse. I feel about the potato cleanse, I like it better than, like, the idea of fasting. I like it better than the idea of fasting simply because, like, you're actually taking in nutrition and fiber and stuff that's, you know, keeping your digestive system alive. I mean, you don't get the same benefits as an actual fast if you're, you know, ill from dealing with cancer or something like that. But I'm assuming that the people who were doing the potato cleanse are not dealing with cancer. And I would put, yes, Olivia, I would put Banana Island under this same kind of umbrella of, like, mono-mealing on any one specific food for any length of time. It can be a good way to reset your system if you've, like, really gone balls out and eaten a ton of junk food or something, and you're just like, I just want simple foods for a couple of days. Blah. Then sure, just, like, eat something simple for a while, but I'm not a big fan of purposefully restricting yourself. Yeah, okay, Jenny's on day 19 and she feels pretty great. That's cool. If that's what you want to do, I always get really hesitant recommending this kind of stuff to people, especially if they're coming from a past of eating disorders or if they're at a specific risk for some kind of eating disorder where you get into this restrictive pattern and then you end up starting to go a little bit crazy about, like, oh, no, I can't break it, I have to keep doing it. And then you get to a point where it becomes a little bit pathological, you know? There is the other issue of if you're eating a wisely planned vegan diet, you're eating a wide variety of foods. So, I think that's important. Good night, Louisa. Thank you for tuning in. I think it's always important to, instead of focusing on, like, one particular food, and I understand why people do it, to focus on eating reasonable amounts of a larger variety of food. It doesn't have to be a much larger variety of food, but, like, if you just want to stick to potatoes and lentils and greens for a little while, that's cool. You know? I don't feel like it needs to be specifically the potato thing, and I feel like I don't care what people say. If someone's going on a potato cleanse, they are probably doing it because they want to lose weight, and probably because they want to lose weight quickly. And I just don't want that to blow up in people's faces. I am not studying to become a doctor or nutritionist at this point. Going to school isn't something that sounds very appealing to me at this point. It's never sounded appealing to me, which is why I didn't do it. A big reason why I didn't do it while I was younger was because after, like, years of living with my mom and my sister, I thought I was too stupid to manage it, and in a way, I think that was true, because when I was in the 7th grade, I started having such intense anxiety and panic attacks that, like, I couldn't function at school. And so I ended up being homeschooled, which then got me, like, way behind in school, and I felt stupid. I felt like I wasn't capable. And that kind of, like, just snowballed until I applied to colleges, and I got into college, and, like, I destroyed the SATs. It was awesome. But again, I just felt like, oh, I was faking it, it was a fluke, like, oh, yeah, okay, I did well on the SATs, but that's only because I studied for them. I don't know, I just psyched myself out, and now I'm not sure I want to, I'm not sure I don't know. I've thought about it. I don't know how it would fit into my lifestyle right now. I don't know if I want that, like, that amount of stress in my life, but whatever. Okay. Mariella, she's asking for the difference between potassium alum and other aluminums. I've done my research, but I'm still pretty confused. I'm not positive exactly what you're referring to either. If it's potassium, that is a different element, but I'm not entirely sure what you're relating to. Someone asked, does your new water filter out fluoride? Mine doesn't, because there's not fluoride in our water that's added to our community water, but you can get an attachment for the Berkey water filters that will take out the fluoride that you can add on to that one. Leslie Smith, she says, I think the potato cleanse would be a good way to get in touch with your true hunger signals. I think, yeah, I could see how that could serve that purpose, but I feel like there are a lot of ways to do that, and, you know, if someone wants to pursue a potato cleanse as one of those, then that's up to them. I just think it's wise to be aware of the potential issues that could come from that. Okay. Can I talk about my water consumption and the benefits? Of course I can. So, water consumption, first and foremost, I feel like it makes me prettier. It's the primary reason I drink any water at all. And because I ever started drinking water, because I thought it was going to make me pretty. In fact, that's the only reason I became vegan, too. I thought it was going to make me prettier. Yeah, youth. Anyway, so it definitely helps to like flush out my skin, and I've spoken about it before in my video about lymphatic health, that I feel like I have a sluggish lymphatic system, and drinking plenty of water really helps me with that. I feel like it helps me sweat more profusely when I'm exercising, which helps to like cool me down and I feel good. It helps to get rid of like any excess sodium that I've accidentally consumed. It's really beneficial for my skin and my hair and like the oils that come out of my skin. It gets like, it just makes all my bodily fluids nice and smooth. That was weird. Anyway, it's also really good for your kidneys and for your urinary tract system. Like if you're prone to UTIs at all, you gotta drink tons of water. Sorry, there's an airplane going over. You might be able to hear it. Right now, a couple of months ago, I was drinking like probably between 64 and 80 ounces of water every day. And then a month or so ago, I started drinking about 120 to 140 ounces a day, and I'm feeling good. The first few days it was really like, oh my god, I feel kind of sick, why am I doing this to myself? But then I feel like my body got used to it, and it's absorbing the water a lot better as well. And I have been doing some experiments with adding in some stuff to my water to like, and I feel like it's been helping my body absorb it a little bit more. And I don't know if I'm ready to talk about those right now. I want to do a little bit more research about what I'm doing, because if I'm potentially doing something that's not a good idea, I don't want to get everybody on the bandwagon too. Okay. Should I be worried if my urine is clear after drinking a lot of water? I heard it means you are overhydrated. Yeah, so when your pee goes like totally clear, that usually means that you've eaten or that you drank a lot of water, usually within a small amount of time. And when you do that, when you just like guzzle water, very quickly it triggers your adrenal glands and your kidneys to just release as much fluid from your blood as you can, right? So you just end up getting kind of like a flush through your system. And it's still, you know, it's like it's still working your kidneys, and it's still good for you, but it can affect fluid balance a little bit. So if you want to like genuinely truly get hydrated, you have to sip a little bit more slowly. Now, I have kind of conditioned my body to expect me to drink about 60 ounces of water within the first 2 hours that I'm awake in the morning, right? So my body is used to me taking in that amount of water, so it kind of expects it, and it doesn't just start flushing it out immediately. But if I chug it other times in the day, I just start totally peeing clear. It could be that you're a little bit overhydrated at that point. I think it's best to have like a little bit of a tinge of yellow in your pee. So if you're drinking a ton of water and you feel like you're really hydrated and your pee is clear, you can back off a little bit. But I like to see, a little bit of yellow. Be like, yeah, kidneys, keep it going, kidneys. I'm super stoked about this. Okay. The mineral drops that I use, Olivia, are called Concentrace brand mineral drops. And what temperature is it? It is, I'm not sure, but it feels like it's, like mid-70s, maybe hitting 80 at this point. How do you feel about eating raw fruit after a cooked meal? I think it's a good way, I mean, if it was a big cooked meal or if it contained any significant amount of fatty food, I think it's a good way to start a little bout of fermentation going in your guts, which is a great way to keep you up all night, uncomfortable and farting. Yeah, and Lucy says, I drink a lot of water, but I also have to pee pretty much all the time. Peeing once an hour or once every 2 hours is actually pretty normal for humans. I think it's a great idea. What's my opinion on genetically modified organisms? I think it's really irresponsible what we have done with our food system as far as GMOs go. I think we put ourselves at a big risk for having severe food shortages, which could potentially starve most of the world to death fairly quickly. The thing is that scientists are splicing in the DNA of viruses and bacteria into foods, okay? So you're getting foreign DNA from viruses and bacteria going into these foods, and the thing about viruses and bacteria is that they are very capable of sharing DNA with other organisms, especially other viruses and bacteria, which means that they can mutate very fast. So my only question is just like, should we really be putting snippets of virus and bacteria DNA into the environment in ways when we don't understand exactly what could happen with those? And we don't understand how introducing those foods with virus and bacteria DNA into our bodies could affect the bacteria that live in our guts or the bacteria that live in our bodies. Like what if some of this DNA gets into the hands of like the E. coli that lives in our guts? What could happen? We don't know what could happen. And that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's another good point, Amy. The virus and bacteria DNA, it might interact, with our own immune systems in funny ways. The fact is that we don't know, so we're kind of like guinea pigs. So I try to avoid GMOs. Let's see. I encourage others to say no to GMOs. At the same time, I do eat the papayas that are here on the Big Island. All of them are pretty much GMO with cross-pollination. Everything is GMO at this point in time. But I also like papayas, so I try to find a balance between like eating mindfully and wisely without restricting myself in a way that could be kind of ridiculous, really. Yes, I have seen several questions about Hashimoto's. Very complex subject. I don't have Hashimoto's. I've done some reading and research about it. That was a while back, so I feel like if I speak too much about this, I might end up giving you the wrong information without me having refreshed my memory. I'm gonna put that on hold for a second because I saw Digital Mimi. She says, I think GMOs can be used to help too, though, like yellow rice and stuff. So yes, I do see some useful applications for genetically modified organisms. I feel like those benefits are really hyped by the industry, and let's remember that this industry stands to make billions of trillions of dollars off of these products and off of getting the world dependent on these products. In areas where things like yellow rice are necessary, there are also foods that have been growing there for generations that if we focused more on getting people food secure instead of dumping GMOs on them, I think that would be wiser. But there's not a lot of money to be made on making people food secure. There's a lot of money to be made off of making people food insecure. I don't believe I can increase the audio at this point. I'm sorry, there was technical difficulties. I can try to talk louder. The other thing is that when a lot of these GMO products, you end up having to use a lot of their chemicals, like Roundup, glyphosate, and those end up building up in us. So a lot of these people who were eating GMO rice now have glyphosate buildup in their livers that is so significant that it's affecting their health. Okay, and I'm back. Sorry about that. Someone says that Banana Wisdom is a vegan YouTuber with Hashimoto's. Okay, so maybe you guys, and I'll check them out too, Banana Wisdom as the channel, vegan channel with YouTube. As Nature Intended asks, do you have some good resources for dog health? Do you have any advice how to treat them when they're sick? I don't have a lot of advice on dog health. This is one of those touchy vegan subjects where I have to be like, well, if we're talking about species specific diets that are gonna be the best for their health, it's not a vegan diet. So, I honestly, the healthiest dog that I was ever around was eating a raw, meaty bones diet. And I think the primary reason that helped her and helped other dogs so much is, A, it's a species-specific diet, it's what their bodies are designed for, but B, it cleans their teeth. So gum disease is where a lot of health diseases with dogs start. So, Keter, he's on a kibble diet right now, and his teeth, he has a lot of buildup, and it's like he's gonna get gingivitis soon, so he needs some chewing. The barf diet is not a good idea. If you're gonna put him on a raw diet that is, animal foods based, it needs to be in the form of bones that have meat scraps on it. So don't do the ground up stuff because they can just eat that very quickly. The whole idea is that they chew very slowly, which helps to clean their teeth. And then, welcome Bumblebee, welcome. And then that is what helps them, because dogs aren't supposed to eat super duper fast. They're supposed to go slow and chew and blah blah blah. Okay. Otherwise, I've treated some UTI infections and some skin issues with apple cider vinegar, and then Keter has really bad skin issues because he was so sick as a puppy, so I have some essential oil sprays that I put on him. But other than that, if your dog is on a vegan diet, you should, if it's a kibble diet, or even, grains, stuff that you cook for them, you should brush their teeth if you're not going to let them chew on bones. Okay. My acupuncturist wants me to incorporate oil into my diet because I have RSD, a severe nerve disorder. I already refuse to eat anything that's not vegan, but unsure about oil. I am curious as to what your acupuncturist's thinking is and what the oil is going to do for your nerves. I'm not super familiar with RSD, so I don't want to, like, you know, throw out information that might not actually be good for you. So, yeah, as nature intended, giving my dog's bones, nightmare. I know, that's like the reason why I'm not doing it for my dogs, is I'm just like, I don't want to touch it, I don't want it in my fridge, I don't want to have to think about it, I don't want to be sad. I mean, it's like, when I was giving my mom's dog raw meaty bones, I would get offcuts from the butcher, so it's like it's literally would just go in the trash otherwise. Because it's like, I don't want to pay for this stuff, I don't want to support it in any way, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to have a dog companion animal, what are you going to do, you know? I guess brush their teeth every day might be a good place to start. Yeah, High Carb Hannah and Derek, they make homemade vegan food for their dog. I'm not saying that it's not great. I'm just saying that dogs were not, like, species-specific diet is not, you know, barley and lentils and sweet potatoes for dogs. That's not what it is. What about vegans eating higher fats, like jars of nut butters almost every day? Is it healthy? Should we worry about macros? I like to keep my fat lower. I don't know how anyone on this planet can afford eating a jar of a nut butter every day. I assume you're talking about peanut butter. But even that, organic peanut butter, I mean, I know here in Hawaii it's like $20 for a jar of almond butter. So that would not be happening. But anyway, I would advise keeping, you know, thinking about having the fat a little bit lower, but ask yourself how you're feeling, you know? I would feel terrible. Terrible. If I was on that kind of diet with so much fat. I'd be sluggish, I'd have, like, fat oozing out of my pores. I would not feel good at all. If you're one of those people that does better on a higher fat diet, then maybe you're having it and it's delicious and it makes you feel great and oil isn't pouring out of your pores. I'm not that person, and I think that that amount of nuts can cause some issues because a lot of nuts or seeds can be really high in specific minerals, and you could end up overdosing on that mineral content. I think it could be a lot of, you could end up being exposed to a lot of phytates at the same point in time, plenty of phytic acid, which could also affect mineral absorption, but in the opposite direction. It's, I think an entire jar every day is just too much. It's also a lot of calories, you know, so unless you're, like, really skinny and struggling to lose weight. Yassi, dietary advice for vegans going into their 30s, please. Whole plant foods. Just is there something specific that you're wondering about? Because, I mean, my dietary advice is consistent throughout life. So if there's something specifically about getting into your older age, let me know. What's my opinion of taking 5-HTP for anxiety? Physical and nutritional stuff can definitely play into triggering anxiety or affecting our ability to like get a handle on anxiety, right? So if you're really struggling with anxiety or if you're having panic attacks or something like that, first and foremost, important is to try to be consistent with yourself, you know, but dietarily speaking and like getting enough sleep and trying to rest. I understand that that can be difficult when you're very anxious though, but working with someone like a cognitive behavioral therapist or doing other types of self-reflection, ideally with a supportive person, like an objective supportive person like a therapist, to to try to work through that. What can also be really helpful are kind of like neuro reprogramming methods. Good night. Like neuro-emotional technique, or what is it called? EMDR. Stuff like that can be helpful. If you want to try to support yourself with nutritional supplements as well, I don't think it's gonna hurt you to take some of the, 5-HTP. But, yes, Bumblebee says it should only be used for a short period of time, and I've heard something similar, like, when you're taking in things that affect your, your brain chemistry, it's not always wise to continue to take them for a long time, lest you become dependent on it. That said, I also feel like it might be a little bit better than, hold on, block. Sorry, it looks like the trolls have showed up. Fuck, what was I saying? I think it's more of a holistic thing. It's like you gotta attack anxiety and depression from many different sides. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, I took the supplement. No, I feel happy all the time. I don't even think it works like that with antidepressants. That's just a whole other subject that will be discussed one day, but not today. Okay. Yeah, see, she was the one who asked about the, dietary advice for... The sexy tablespoon isn't gone. It'll come back. I think we're gonna make brownies next time. Brownies made out of black beans. Anyway, Yassi asked, like, what to eat more of, what to eat less of. Again, like, still advising the whole plant food diet. If you are, I think it's really important as you get older to, like, maintain eating a bunch of, for fuck's sake. I think it's important to keep eating a bunch of fiber, help keep your hormones all balanced and keep everything in your gut microbiome going really well. I think it's a good idea as you get older, but this is more like specifically about menopause and stuff, to eat plenty of foods with plenty of phytoestrogens in it to help those occupy your estrogen receptors, to keep your body on an even keel and prevent any, like, estrogen sensitive cancers. But mostly advice stays pretty much the same, Eat whole plant foods as much as possible, get plenty of rest, drink water, exercise, feel good, make sure that you're strong, It's so important to get, it's so important to build muscle mass. At any age, build muscle mass. That's what makes your bones strong. That's what prevents sarcopenia. That's what keeps your metabolism pumping as you get older. So, muscles. It's all about muscles. Is almond milk healthy? Unsweetened almond milk. It's not like your body is sitting around with an almond milk deficiency. Almond milk is much better than cow's milk. So I would say definitely include it if it's going to be replacing cow's milk or helping to prevent any cravings or something for cow's milk. But if you make your own almond milk, I would say that's, like, even better, by soaking almonds and then blending them and straining it, and then you can use the almond meal for whatever, cooking, eating, whatever, and then drink the milk. I think that's fantastic. I don't think you should be drinking, like, a gallon of it every day, or maybe not even drinking it every day. The store-bought stuff definitely has more additives and questionable ingredients in it. But again, I think it's better to provide yourself with foods that are going to keep you eating a plant-based diet over the long term. if you can survive without the almond milk. Like, I barely ever have almond milk. I just don't feel like I need it. I don't really miss the milky taste or flavor, but Levi gets almond milk all the time, and there are some moments where I see that almond milk, and I drink it, and it's delicious. So, you don't have to obsess about it or worry about it, really. But, yeah. Exactly, Bumblebee. It is still a processed food. That was probably a much faster way of explaining it. Huh. Is it bad to eat an entire block of tofu at one time? I've been there. I think I did that last week. Sometimes I get these tofu cravings, and I don't even know what it's about. But it's just like plain tofu. I could just eat it, and eat it, and eat it. Because I usually get the stuff that's not processed with calcium, so it's not like my body associates that with calcium. I don't even know. But yeah, tofu is surprisingly high in fat. It's not necessarily like a bad fat for you, but surprisingly high in fat. I wouldn't say that it's bad, but I would also ask a question like, why am I doing this? You know, in my case, I just wanted it, and it tasted really good, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and maybe I'll get a bit of a tummy ache. I was fine, but if I was like standing in front of the refrigerator eating it because I was anxious and trying to manage my anxiety, then that's a whole other demon, right? Okay. I don't know how I want to deal with this. Dear God. It's in another language, so I couldn't see what it said, but then I was like, is that a dick? That's definitely a dick. What's the matter with people? What do I think about salt replacers? They don't have sodium, it's made with potassium chloride, but tastes like salt. I think that's like a creepy processed food. It creeps me out, that's all I'm gonna say. It creeps me out. Why doesn't it happen in nature? What does it do to your electrolytes? That's what I want to know. Do you ever have pamper days where you do face masks and so on? Yes. Do you want me to tell you about my pamper days? Oh my god. Hold on, I'll tell you about my pamper days in just a moment. But, Paulina, I see your question. Thoughts on hysterectomy as treatment for endometrial cancer, or best treatment besides whole plant food diet? I know I've read about this before, and someone like Dr. Pam Popper is probably a better person to ask. Sending her an email or like investing in a consultation, because if you're dealing with cancer, like, and getting a hysterectomy is a significant amount. That's a significant choice, right? So I would get a better opinion than mine. I have to, like, I'll tell, if I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer, and one of the options was to have a hysterectomy, if I could have a partial hysterectomy where they take the uterus and leave your ovaries, I would probably do it. I wouldn't be stoked about it, because, like, I want to keep my organs, right? But to be perfectly honest, I would do it. And I would do it right now, and I'll tell you why. Partially is just, like, just get rid of the thing that's growing the cancer. That would be great. And then focus on good diet and all that kind of stuff. To try to prevent cancer from growing in other areas. Second, get the surgery now, because we are teetering on the precipice of antibiotic apocalypse, and if you can have that done now while antibiotics are still effective, it'll be much safer. Maybe that's just me, like, freaking out about something that I shouldn't be worried about, but I have those thoughts. I'm like, maybe I should go get all of my elective surgeries done right now while antibiotics still work. How much calcium do you think we need? Dr. Greger recommends 600 milligrams, but the RDA is 1,000, I believe. Yes, the RDA is 1,000. I think it's 1,200 for pregnant ladies, and the general consensus with like natural health professionals and professionals that have read the research is that we don't need that much calcium. There are populations of people who have been surviving on 150 milligrams of calcium a day, and I'm not advising that we get that little. I'm just saying the RDA is a bit high, a bit unnecessary. If you get 1,000 a day eating whole plant foods, cool. If you don't, I don't think you need to be freaking out. I only speak English, I'm sorry. I feel like a dick because I just speak English. Okay. Paulina, I hope your mom makes a full recovery regardless of the choice that she makes. Okay. Whoa, Emily, you only have one kidney and you're training for a marathon. I've had mixed advice on if that's safe or not. Also, sorry, I haven't... That could potentially be a significant amount of stress on your kidneys, and all of that sweating could be a significant stress for electrolyte balance. I would take the advice of your doctor. I would also ask, I ask this of anyone who wants to run a marathon. Why do you want to run a marathon? Shit, that came out wrong. That came out sounding really judgy. But I just don't get it. Okay? But, like, what do you feel like running a marathon is going to provide for you? I know some people do it thinking like, oh, by the time I can run a marathon, I will have lost weight, or if I can run a marathon, it will prove that I am strong to do all of these things. It's important to know your why, especially when you are in a situation where it could be risky. Okay? Oh, Olivia. I know microbiology is kind of scary. Anyway. Ashley asks, how do I overcome the last remnants of an eating disorder? Mentally, I'm still struggling, but physically, I'm recovered. Yeah. So, those last, like, vestigial remnants really hang on. I'm not sure if they ever really go away. I think, when it happens, and you're like, hold on. Timeout. Okay. Being really kind to yourself is important. Okay? Not freaking out about those last residual remnants of an eating disorder. Not seeing it and be like, oh my god, I'm not recovered. Oh my god, oh, I'm gonna disappoint my whole family, and oh, I just can't even admit to this or deal with it, and everybody wants me to be better, and I'm under so much pressure. I have to be better. Like, let's try not to do that, right? So let's just be like, okay, I see you. I hear what you're saying. And I understand where you're coming from, eating disorder. Like, you think that if I don't eat, I will be more lovable, or you think that if I don't eat, I'll disappear, which will make me safe from the judgment of other people, or whatever it is your eating disorder was there in the first place for, okay? Honor that, because it has served a very important purpose in your life. And accepting that it was there for a purpose, right? Sorry, I'm a little confused by a comment right now. Anyway. I think that once you remove a lot of that pressure and a lot of that anxiety about the eating disorders and what's going on, I just completely lost my train of thought. I have to stop looking at comments. I'm sorry. Trolls. Good God. Anyway. And at the same time as you're doing this and asking yourself these questions and reflecting with yourself, I think it's really important to purposefully and consistently take care of your body. It really helped me to think of my body as a pet. So I'd be like, okay, I gotta feed her 3 to 4 times a day, and I'll check in with her, I'll take her for walks, we'll get fresh air, I'll make sure that she has a nice place to be like sleeping and rest and take care of herself and all that kind of stuff. So that's really helpful for me. But I mean, again, I'm not sure if the last little residual stuff ever really goes away. There's always going to be triggers. There are always going to be times when your mind thinks or just reverts back to those neurological loops where it decides that maybe breaking open the eating disorder box would be a good idea, right? There's always times. Hold on 1 second. What are you people doing? Granny D, how to not get triggered to restrict when people around you say things about you eating. Who's saying things about you eating? That's what I want to know. Oops. I meant to put that person in timeout, but I blocked them. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, who's saying things about you eating? Because if it's like an acquaintance or something, I would literally tell them to go fuck themselves, that they don't need to be making comments about my food. If it is someone like your mom, I would say, hey, Mom, when you say those things, it really triggers me. And just be honest about that, you know? But there have been many times in my life where I have literally told people to go fuck themselves because that's what they needed to do. Like, they weren't responding to my boundaries. So they usually respond to go fuck yourself. Otherwise, just communicate. If it's someone who cares about you and who you care about, be honest with them, you know? Geez, that's really triggering. Like, I assume you don't mean to do this, but, like, my brain just does not take that well. So, yeah. How can I stop thinking about food? It's all I think about. Eat plenty of good food, and once your body is full and satiated, it won't want to think about food anymore. Maybe stupid question, but ripe or not ripe bananas, what's best? Ripe bananas are best. Okay, my thoughts on the starch solution. Starch solution is great. I like to eat more fruit than the starch solution advises. Otherwise, I'm in almost complete agreement. I think McDougall is a wonderful person. My thoughts on the fascia blaster. I think the fascia blaster can be a good component to a holistic plan for dealing with postural issues or scar tissue. If you want it for getting rid of cellulite, yes, that does work because it breaks up those connective tissue connections that are stuck to the muscle and causing the appearance of cellulite. It won't get rid of fat, you know, it's like it won't help you lose weight. That's done through diet and exercise and good lifestyle. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, see, that's an interesting recommendation for the meal prep, because half of my worries come from what I should eat next. Yeah, that can be an issue for some people, so if pre-prepping meals is important, then do that for you if it helps, but if you are not eating enough calories, your brain is going to make you think about food. Cheyenne, cortisol levels, it depends on why your cortisol levels are out of whack in the first place. If you're having like a glandular issue or endocrine gland issue, if you're having some sort of malfunction or imbalance there, or if you're like stressed out, if you're a person that gets yourself really stressed out all the time and all you do is stress because that's just the way that your brain works, then you have to purposefully work on rerouting the neural connections of your brain by having different thoughts, okay? So managing stress, deep breathing, being in the present moment, like that's probably the most effective way to get cortisol levels under control. That and eating a whole plant food diet, lots of fiber, lots of carbohydrates to try to get your blood sugar managed, okay? Oh good, someone tried the bean recipe and they said it's delicious. That's awesome. Little baby sweet potato. She says, she had eating disorders and she's almost recovered, but when people say, oh, you look so much better and healthier, I often take this as you look fat. Okay, so two-part answer to that one. Part one is tell people that it does not feel good when they comment on your appearance. That's part of recovery. That's part of becoming like a whole strong person, is being able to stand up for your boundaries. So if someone says that to you, you can still be polite and tell them, I know that you don't mean this, but when you say that, it's really difficult for me to deal with. So if you can just refrain from like making any comments about my appearance, I would really appreciate that. I'm glad that, you know, you're invested in me getting better, but ouch, I just can't do it right now. Second is acknowledging that that is your perception. That is your eating disorder's perception of what they're saying to you, and it's not written in stone. So you can, through practice, purposeful practice, you can change that perception. It'll take time. You'll have to catch yourself. You'll be like, oh, they're saying I look fat. And then you'll say, oh, nope. They didn't just say that I look fat. They said that I look healthy. And try to embody that I look healthy. And focus on that as opposed to focusing on whether or not they think that you're fat. Okay? Shelly, I hear you about that then people get upset, and that's their freak out. And this is another point when, oh gosh, learning about like boundaries and communicating is so complicated because so few people know how to do it. And then you end up actually having to like manage everyone else's fucking emotional lives at the same time. You're like, nope, that's not what I said, and that's not what I'm doing. I would appreciate it if you didn't comment on my appearance, you know? It can be difficult and complex. The more that you can get clear on this is my feeling versus this is their feeling, or they're projecting onto me, this is not reality, the more you can be clear about like, I'm okay and I am healthy and I don't need other people's approval to continue to get better, the easier it'll be. But yes, you definitely can get through this. Can I make a boundary series? I feel like I should. I might. Boundaries are so interesting because so few people have them. It's very interesting. Okay. No one does know how to communicate. I went to one of my clients' like physical therapy sessions today just to like check in with them and their progress and everything, and I was just watching everyone in the office, like the passive aggressive communication and the sideways communication, and then like the communication that was just like ignored, and I was like, wow, this is what people are like. It's horrible. It's horrible. Oh yes, Yassie, I was gonna tell you about my pamper routine. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so I like to do my pamper routine. It's a 2-day process, right? So I start on Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon because that's when we drop the girls off at their mom's houses, and then I come home and I put some hot water in a nice big pan, and I put my feet into the warm water and let it soak. And then I have my scrubby rock, which I then scrub my feet with, okay? At the same time, I will put on a face mask. Usually, if it's late in the afternoon, I will do my vitamin A and glycolic acid clay face mask and let that purify, or something with charcoal. And then, while that's happening, I will oil my scalp. So I made myself this scalp oil, which I'm going to make a video about soon. And I basically just go through and like put it all over my scalp, and you know, it probably takes like half an hour to get it all over my scalp. Good. And then I give myself a good hair massage, brush my hair, put it up in a good bun, and then I sleep with that overnight. And then I push back my cuticles on my fingers and my toes, and then remove any extra skin and trim around the edges to make them look nice, which I haven't done in a long time. Looking a little scraggly. And then like, you know, rinse the face, take a shower, oil my feet, and then I only oil parts of my body. So I have this oil that I'm loving right now. It's like coconut oil and tamanu oil, and then I add in some orange essential oil and pukenikini essential oils, and I put that all over my body, and I smell amazing, and then I go to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I wash my hair, do an apple cider vinegar rinse, and it's just lovely. I know, it is a lot now that I think about it, but it's like, it just, it feels, I just love how I feel afterwards. You know, it's like I feel scrubbed and clean and glowing. And then I've been really good the last month or so about dry brushing every single day, and then I've been teaching myself face workouts. So I do these facial muscle exercises, like, it prevents me from aging. Ha! Yeah. I guess it is kind of like face yoga, huh? I don't know, it's fun. Okay. Easy ways to start becoming more involved in animal activism for new vegans. Depending on where you are, I think it can be great to find a group that's already established. And that can be an interesting learning experience as well, because that can be kind of like an introduction to the unstable, ineffective vegan activism that is so pervasive. But I think getting involved in a group that's already established can be a good way to kind of test the waters and be like, does that feel good? Or do I like this more? Do I like to talk to people, or do I like to just be silent and present information? Do I like to do stuff that's mostly online, or do I like to do it in real life, kind of thing? I'll do a face yoga video when I know what I'm doing better. Yeah, someone says they're trying to stop painting their toenails. I think that's a good idea, because toenail polish, most nail polish is like, has a lot of funky chemicals in it, you know? I am not artistic at all. What artwork? 'Cause I can draw. Like, I can draw pretty good, but it's like, it becomes really stressful for me because it has to be perfect, and then I end up sitting still for 12 hours drawing. It's not good. Chronic constipation even on a whole food diet. How much water are you drinking? And my other question would be, like, what kinds of whole foods are you eating? Because I know, like, for me, I've mentioned this before, if I eat whole grains, my digestion slows down a huge amount. If I stick to mostly, like, potatoes and fruits and beans and vegetables, my digestion is great and really efficient. But as soon as I introduce whole grains, it slows down. I don't know why. I don't think that whole grains are unhealthy at all. It's just a bleh. I gained weight and my boobs are sagging. Yes. I'm worried if I lose the weight, my boobs will still be saggy. What can I do to help my babies regain elasticity? By babies, I assume you mean boobs. So what I do for my boobs, like every day, is dry brush them. And I kind of, when I dry brush them, this isn't in my dry brushing video, obviously, because I couldn't be naked. There's no way for me to increase audio. I apologize if you have headphones, it might help, but I'm on the iPhone because there was technical issues with my iPad. I apologize. Anyway, I like hold my boob in place and then dry brush around the edges of it so that it's not flapping around like crazy and causing more damage to the tissues, but so that it's just like causing enough of a slight trauma to increase elastin and collagen production. Boob massages are also really important, not only for elasticity, but for like lymphatic fluid. Someone says cranberry juice. Yeah, you don't want them flapping around. No. Also, just like make sure you always wear a good bra when you run and stuff. What else do I do? And then there are exercises. You'll have to look them up on YouTube. I've seen them on YouTube, but like, you know, you go like this and then you flex your muscles in a certain way. I don't know. And it strengthens the muscle that attaches to the Cooper's ligament, which is the ligament that like helps to hold up your boobs. So that can be really helpful too. But you'll have to look those up on YouTube. I'm not sure where they are. Someone asked, is small boobs a sign of hormonal issues or developmental issues? Not at all. Boob size is just like, I mean, it is up to like how many hormones are in your system, but it's like, we don't have to have big boobs. We can have big boobs, and that's cool. We don't have to have big boobs. My boobs have gotten like quite a bit smaller within the last few months. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of happy about that. It's just, I can sleep on my stomach again. Yay. Supplements for boobs. I mean, you can try to take some herbal stuff that'll affect your hormones and potentially make your boobs bigger, but any supplement that supposedly affects boob size is going to affect your hormones. And I don't think it's a great idea to be taking supplements that screw with your hormones. Just asking for problems. My thoughts on Buddhism. I think Buddhism, I've been reading a lot about Buddhism lately. I've been rereading the Yoga Sutras lately as well. And then I've been reading a bunch of other stuff too. A lot of like creation stuff. What I'm finding really interesting is picking up on the common threads between all of these different kind of religious pathways or spiritual pathways, and the more I don't know, the more I learn, the more I'm becoming really aware that like non-attachment is absolutely necessary. I talked about this some in my last live stream, I think, of being aware but non-attached. Also, finding moments to have stillness within yourself and within your day is so important. With specific religions like Buddhism and stuff, I don't really like to get pigeonholed in a box. And maybe part of that is like my own ego not wanting to die, and so I resist the teachings, you know. I respect that that's part of the philosophy. But I feel like as soon as someone starts identifying like, I am Buddhist, or I do yoga and I am a yogi, or I am Christian, or I am Muslim. You start having to put yourself in that box, and you start having to defend the positions that you hold within that box, and there's a certain responsibility to agree with, you know, the elders or the leaders within that religious delineation, and I hesitate to do that. I really do, because, you know, I've had so many teachers in my life, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with 97% of what you just said. There's a little bit that doesn't sit right with me, or that I don't understand, or that I don't feel like makes sense. And so I'm just going to leave that for now. There are teachers where I'm like, 10% of what you just said has been really useful. The other 90%, I don't know. Okay. I have never tried psychedelic drugs. I have been very careful about the drugs that I used. I was, I've been so depressed for so much of my life, and suicidal many times. A lot of anxiety that I have tried to be really aware of, what I do to my brain. So, you know, there were times where I was like, wow, taking ecstasy, that sounds like that would be super fun. I want to do it. And then, you know, I did my thing. I researched it, of course. And then I was like, wow, so ecstasy just, like, releases all of your serotonin at once, and then your brain has no serotonin for, like, 3 days. And I decided, I was like, I could kill myself during those 3 days. I don't want to go through that, so I'm not going to do it. The psychedelics, even the people who are doing scientific research on psychedelics, they acknowledge that, like, some people should not do this because it can be very dangerous for them. Like, I've had a few friends who did DMT and they killed themselves. Like, I feel like I would be one of those people. I don't want to do that. So, are you guys asking about, like, lifting weights and doing push-ups for boob size? Is that what you're asking about? Because, I mean, it'll bulk up your pecs. Like, you can see, you know, my pecs are up here and my boobs are down here now. Getting older, whatever. But exercises can definitely help, and they help to strengthen the muscles that pull on the Cooper's ligament that hold your boobs up. Okay? Yeah. EGCG green tea extract. I would advise not bothering with that stuff. Like, feel free to drink green tea or matcha tea, but the green tea extract, is that for weight loss, or is that, like, for the antioxidant value? Because as we've been learning, like, specific isolated, you know, antioxidant supplements are not nearly as effective as they claim to be. Some of them can actually do more DNA damage than they prevent. So it's better to stick to the whole food source. If you're doing it for weight loss, that's going to be one of those things that bites you in the ass. Comes back to haunt you in a real way. Okay. Stephanie, having issues with iron. If you're chronically and severely low in iron, you know, there are dietary things that you can do to increase iron absorption while you're, you know, eating whole plant foods. Some people do have just, like, either genetic stuff, or something happened when you were, in the womb, or something, like, something has affected the way that your body is able to metabolize iron. If that is the case, then you might have to supplement. And supplemental iron is fine. I just saw that like you're eating spinach and stuff. That can be a fine place to start, but I made my wisely planned vegan diet video. I don't have it linked here, but if you look up what is a wisely planned vegan diet, Lilikoi, Hawaii, you'll find it. And I talk about optimizing mineral absorption in those ways. For iron specifically, like you eat vitamin C rich foods with the iron rich foods, so you'll want to be eating like plenty of beans and legumes and dark leafy greens with things like, you know, red bell peppers and oranges and other fruits and vegetables that are high in vitamin C. You also want to make sure that you don't have things like, you know, tea or coffee, either with or after a meal that contains a lot of minerals like iron, because that'll block the absorption. So there's lots of stuff that you can do to get your levels up naturally. There are tons and tons of awesome articles about those. If you just Google it, like good information does come up if you search for those. So look for like optimizing iron absorption on a vegan diet or getting enough iron on a vegan diet, and those will give you the tips. If those tips don't work well enough, you might be one of those people that either genetically or for whatever reason, you don't absorb your iron so well. Okay? Blackstrap molasses, though. That's blackstrap molasses. Look into that. Okay. How do I feel about removing teeth treated with root canals? That's a damn good question. I mean, ideally you would avoid the root canal in the first place. But this is one of those things where it's like the least of two evils. I don't know. It's like you need teeth to chew, but that amount of dental work can result in like chronic low-grade infections. If you feel like your health is being affected and you feel like it's because that tooth is infected, consider taking it out, you know. Talk to a dental surgeon or something like that. Talk about the options. It's really hard to find good advice from dentists, you know, without them trying to like sell you super expensive procedures or just like completely rolling their eyes at you and dismissing you. But yeah, bleh. If you don't like seaweed, you don't necessarily have to worry about iodine, but there are other types of seaweed than just nori. My favorite is dulse flakes. I use just like a little pinch, mix it in with my rice or something. I have one pinch a few times a week, and that's fine for your iodine. Is there a way to increase your water absorption? I live in the desert and I'm constantly drinking water, but it feels like I'm always super dehydrated. Yes, someone mentioned electrolytes. Coconut water can be amazing. Ooh, I like that. Coconut water, orange juice, and a tiny amount of good quality sea salt. That's an excellent electrolyte drink. There are also these electrolyte packets. Someone advised them to me. What are they called? I'll link them down below. And then I use the Concentrace mineral drops to add into my water. I found that to be really helpful. And then I've been trying some other stuff, which I'll share later. Again, I don't want to give people bad advice. But, yeah. What's my routine for taking care of my teeth? I floss every single night, religiously. That was a promise that I made to my dentist, because I was eating like a ton of dates and other dried fruits, and then I didn't take care of my teeth very well for like 5 years straight. Didn't go to the dentist for 9 years. It was bad. Anyway, I had a bunch of tiny little cavities in between most of my molars, right? And I promised my dentist if I floss every single day. Yes, it's Dr. Price's electrolyte mix on Amazon. Sorry. I promised him if I floss my teeth every single day, you know, can we wait on filling these? He was like, yeah, okay. So he let me wait, and a couple of them got bigger, and I had those filled. Most of them didn't. So the flossing works. Anyway, floss every day. Then I brush with my Sonicare electric toothbrush every night. And then in the morning, I brush with a manual toothbrush, just because I feel like they get in slightly different places, slightly different, you know, nooks and crannies. And then once a week, I use charcoal powder to whiten my teeth. And then right after that, I oil pull just once a week with coconut oil, swish it for like 20 minutes, spit it out. And then I have a mouthwash that is also by Concentrace brand mouthwash, which I use. It's like a little bit peppermint flavored, but I only use that like once or twice a week. Otherwise, I don't use it. Again, that's Concentrace brand. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap up soon, you guys. I've been talking a lot. That's an interesting question from Shelley. Where can she volunteer during her gap year? She's been saving for travel, but I'd like to have a nice accommodation sorted. Yeah, if anyone knows about that, that would be great. Mariella says, is flour bad? So flours are not whole plant foods, so they're not ideal, right? If you're going to eat flour, it's best to opt for a stone ground, like wholemeal flour, you know, so it is the whole grain. It's just been condensed and floury. Now, flours, even if they're whole grain flours, they don't digest like whole grains. They digest much faster. You absorb more of the calories and less fiber gets into your gut. So they're not ideal. I wouldn't make them a staple food, but it's totally fine to have every now and then. Like, tomorrow is Levi's birthday. Yay, happy birthday, Levi! So I'm gonna cook him black bean brownies, and it's gonna be fantastic. And I'm gonna use flour, and that's fine. Okay. Good. I'm so glad that you guys have been, like masa for tortillas, so I guess, you know, the masa flour for tortillas, like, it is flour. It's not ideal, but it's freaking delicious. Right? You gotta balance. Yay, shout out for your 2-year vegan anniversary. Very good, July 1st. Proud of you, dude. Okay. I'm going to, that's getting blocked. Bye. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. I'm gonna go clean the house before the kids show up and get covered in dog hair from rolling around on the floor. Right? Thank you all. Lily Passion Fruit, that's me. Thank you guys so much, all of you. I'm so happy to have you guys in my life. I so appreciate it, and I'm just in awe and humbled that I can be a part of anyone else's life in a good way, and it'd be so wonderful. So thank you guys, and thank you guys, so many of you who I see who stayed for like the entire video. Props to you. Happy Friday. I'm glad that you spent your Friday this way. So much love to everyone. And I will plan to see you guys next week. Sorry there was no live stream last week. I got overwhelmed. Anyway. Thank you guys so much. Love to you all. I hate pushing the finish button. It's like introvert love. It's like trying to hang up, you know, when you're on the phone with someone that you love. Okay. Bye, you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.